This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. Delighted to be joined, quite surprised tonight, by Freddie Roach, who just came out of the elevator, beg your pardon, it is late, and decided to do an interview. How are you, Freddie?
Yeah, you talked to me earlier about it, and I was putting you off all day, and so I can't sleep too well right now, and this will be a good break.
It has been. You've been here nearly a week now. The last time I saw you was in LA, Wilder Fury. Seems like an awful long time ago.
Yeah, the Fury fight, and it was an exciting fight, and I've talked to Fury a couple times since then, and I've talked to his people, his coach Ben and them, and just trying to smooth everything out, because there was a little bit of turbulence, but people thought against me and Ben and so forth. I mean, Ben was kind enough to let me do mitts with his fighter and so forth, and I would never talk badly about him and so forth. I wish that he had been maybe a little more aggressive in the corner, and maybe gave him a little more direction of more offense, because I think he could have done more in that fight. But the thing is, he fought very well, and I thought he won the fight. I mean, the knockdown at the end was devastating. Honestly looked like he was out cold. We're lucky we had an experienced referee in there, I think, because most referees, when the guy goes down like that, would call the fight right away. And he started counting, and he was counting loud, it seemed like, trying to wake him up maybe, and it did. And all of a sudden he gets up. His equilibrium was great. His feet were under him. He won the rest of the round. I thought he won the fight, but it was a very action-packed fight. He's in there with one of the best punchers in the world. I mean, the guy can really punch. That's one thing he can do. He's not the best fighter in the world, I don't think, but he is a very good puncher, and he's very dangerous. And I think the Gypsy King's a very dangerous guy also. I love him from the left-hand stance. I love him from this working with him as a southpaw. His power is really, really great. He's born naturally left-handed, and I was kind of mentally urging him to use that left hand a little bit more. But since I know I'm in the second string in the corner right there, and I can't really say anything, I can say something to my cornerman, yes, but I can't go overboard and talk to the fighter, because that's not my role. And my thing is, I don't steal fighters, and so that's the way it goes. And we're all friends right now, and he asked me if he could use the gym again, and I said, of course you can, but I think you're better off going to Top Rank this time, because Top Rank has a huge gym there and nobody uses it. And Bob Arum, he just signed with Arum, so I think it's a better fit for him for this fight. But if he wants to use my gym, he's very, very welcome to, and he knows that.
Now, I was going to come on to Tyson afterwards, but seeing as we're on the subject now, I mean, I did speak to Ben Davison when this kind of the fallout after the first fight. I know Ben didn't take it personally, and I know you have since smoothed things over. Would you be interested in working with Tyson again? I know you said he could come and use the gym. Would you still be interested in working with him in an official capacity?
I was asked, and people have asked me that, and I talked to a couple of his guys and so forth, and they asked me if I would want to be on board. I said I'd love to be on board and be part of that team, because they're really a bunch of good guys, and they really treated my gym well, and they treat everybody with a lot of respect and so forth. And I like being around guys like that. I would like to be part of that if they wanted me. And the thing is, there was a couple calls that were heading towards that direction and so forth. And then Tyson finally called me, cleared the air, and said, "Freddie, I'm still happy with Ben, and we're going to stick together." And I said, "That's great." I said, "And if you need to use the gym, let me know, and whatever you want me." I said, "I'm not in the capacity of a cut man, because I'm really not a cut man. I know how to stop cuts, yes, and I can be a cut man, but I do have like 2 or 3 guys that are way better than me at it." And I told him that. And he said, "Why are they better than you?" I said, "Well, basically because they're doctors and I'm not." And they have much better medicine, and they have more control of what they're doing and so forth. And I said, I would rather have a good cut man, an expert in your corner than me. as a cut man and so forth. So I told him I didn't want to be in the corner as a cut man this time because I think I could give him somebody professional and a lot better than I am.
You worked with Tyson throughout the build-up to the Deontay Wilder fight and indeed in the fight. You, like many other people, myself included, felt like Tyson won that fight. Were you surprised that he didn't take up the rematch when it was ordered by the WBC?
I really was surprised that the rematch didn't happen. I'm not sure which way that went of who didn't want the fight. But, I know Tyson did sign a new contract with a new promoter and so forth. And I'm not sure if that was the complete swing of change, of course. But the thing is, because there's a lot of boxing promoters in America and in the world right now that don't want to work together. And this is kind of ruining the game of boxing. We're going to be the best at what we do if the best fights the best. And I think we need that badly. UFC and so forth think they're taking over and so forth, but they'll never take over if we get back to the best fighting the best. And I think that rematch, I would like to see it. I think it needs a rematch. It was close enough. It could have went either way. And and again, I thought Tyson won the fight. So just getting up from that knockdown alone and just in the performance of what he did it was amazing to me. And I'm not a really religious person or anything like that. And when he got up, I says maybe there is a God. And that's the first time I would say that in my life. Because I'm not that type of person. And the thing is, my beliefs are I believe in fighters. I believe in Tyson Fury because the way he got up and the equilibrium he had and the legs he had under him, it was amazing. It was just a tremendous thing. I had to give him points for that. Alone, that was a great moment. And because I remember Ben was telling me, Freddie, I need to get in there. I said, no, Ben, sit down. I said, sit down, because the referee kept warning Ben not to get up on the steps and so forth, because he wanted to get closer to his fighter, and he was really worried about him. And I held him down, and then finally he gets up, and I said, oh man, because I didn't think he was going to get up, but I thought that he should wait for the 10 count at least and not get disqualified or anything like that. So. And it worked out. We went to a decision, and we lost a very close decision. But I thought we won the fight. But the thing is, I think it was definitely enough for a comeback, for a rematch. Anyone in the world would love to see that fight one more time.
Now, I asked you before the fight. You've worked with Mike Tyson, Vladimir Klitschko, James Toney. Where would you put Tyson among those brackets of heavyweights? Now you've been under the lights with him, so to speak. You've seen him on Fight Night.
One thing I say about Tyson Fury is that any of you guys out there that are thinking about fighting him, any of them, from Tyson on down to all those guys that you mentioned and so forth, I says, do me a favor, don't take him lightly. If you take him lightly, you will get beat. He's capable of beating all those guys on a good night. But the thing is, if you take him lightly, he will beat you. I promise you that. Don't take him lightly because he's a much better fighter than people realize. A much better fighter.
What is it about him that makes him a much better fighter than people realize?
His boxing ability, his schooling, who taught him how to fight. He told me, Freddie, it goes back a long way to not my Uncle Peter, but the Peter before that, relation-wise, because he says people take credit for making me the fighter and so forth, and he pinned it down for me like it was 4 generations back that the person who really taught him how to fight, who was an old pro and just a really slick guy, and taught him very well, taught him to fight very well. He like I said, he's more than just an opponent out there or a guy that can move a little bit. He punches very well. His combinations are good. His movement's good. He has great legs. He's a very, very seasoned fighter. I love watching him. Before that fight, I've never seen him fight before. I watched a little bit of tape on him before the fight just to get to know him a little bit and so forth. But the thing is, I never saw anyone fight like that and absorb the punishment from that puncher, and the guy is a puncher, and get up and like nothing happened. I mean, the thing is, it was like he was never hurt. His equilibrium was really, really there. His legs were there. He wasn't shaking at all. I love that. It was a really big part of me, and I think he's a much better fighter than people give him credit for.
Okay, last one on Tyson Fury before we talk about your fight this weekend with Tebbutt. Where would you rate Tyson Fury in the current heavyweight scene? Obviously, he's the lineal champion. He's the man who beat the man, so to speak. Doesn't have any of the recognised titles at the minute. Would you put him at top of the tree? Is he still the man until he's beaten, or would it potentially Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder? Who would you currently say is the number one heavyweight in the world?
Well, Joshua, the gold medalist, I still think he's probably the best middleweight in the world right now. I mean, heavyweight in the world right now.
It is very late.
Yeah. But the thing is, he's a good fighter. I met him. He's a very nice man. He wrote me a letter one day. He says, how good can I be with Freddie Roach in my corner? And I couldn't answer him. And someone says, why can't you answer him? I says, because he has his team, and he's together with his people and so forth, and I can't jump in there and say I'm the greatest trainer ever and I can make you a world champion or something like that. I would never do that because I don't steal fighters, and I'm not into that and so forth. If he had left his people and came to me and said, I'd like you to train me, that'd be a different story. But he has his people and they do him very well. The only issue I have with him right now is that I think he's putting on maybe a little bit too much bulk in the upper body. And I think he's having trouble carrying that into the later rounds because he is starting to fatigue in his last couple of fights. Now, the Klitschko fight, he fought very well. I thought that was a great performance. But since then, he's gassed out a couple of times, and I think it's because he's carrying around too much bulk, too much muscle. But I would hope that he would maybe think about that and take some of that off and be a little bit looser and a little bit more fluent, because I do think he's the best fighter in the world, the best heavyweight in the world today.
That's actually the second time you told me that story. The first time was when I came down to the gym the day after we did the interview.
Yes.
In LA. I won't press any further because as you just said, it's you're not in the business of stealing fighters, so to speak. I'm sure you get a lot of messages or a lot of inquiries from a lot of fighters to train with you. Would that be accurate?
Yes, I get people call me every day, and some I take on, some I don't because different issues and so forth. Honestly, there's some I take on because I need sparring for my fighters. I need good sparring for my fighters, and I take these fighters on and I work hard with them, and I get them fights, and I get them as best as we can fights, and I don't give them all promoters and so forth, but I do know a lot of matchmakers and so forth, and guys that can get them those fights and so forth that they need to make money and so forth, because everyone needs to make a living out there. So I do take guys on sometimes, just because I need better work for my other fighters and so forth, and they can help each other build up and so forth. So if somebody calls and they fit in really well with my guys at certain weight classes, I take them on, and I take them on just for the factor that I need that quality of sparring for my guys. So right now I have 21 fighters on my list. Marie has a chalkboard, and Marie, and she keeps everything down, and it's just like she said, Freddie, it's getting too thick. And 21's a little bit too much. I agree with her and so forth, but that's why I'm here, and that's why I have two other fighters fighting on the same night as this night. So, and I do have a couple of my assistants that work for me that do really good jobs as best they can, and I have them working their corners on these nights. So they're not alone, of course, but the thing is, they're in good hands. But I know they came for me, and they're not always happy. So I try to do the best I can, though.
I was going to talk about that because I mean, I know Amir Khan, when you had him and Manny in the same stable, that was a similar situation. How difficult is that for you to kind of to pick and choose, as it were?
Pick and choose is tough, and the thing is, I don't like to say no, as you probably can tell. But the thing is, like, Amir Khan was a whole different situation, though. He wanted to be number one over Manny, and the thing is, it just wasn't going to happen at that time. It just, or maybe not at any time, because Manny and me are still together, and he has a fight coming up on the 23rd. We have a press conference in Las Vegas, and I will be with Manny, and I think we're going to train in LA for this fight, and then but Manny, he really wants to fight Mayweather one more time, and I think that's why he's still in the business and still fighting, because we want to get that one fight back, because both of us are kind of disappointed in the way that fight went, and we both know that we can do much better in that fight.
We've been talking now for 16 minutes and we still haven't spoken about Evan Baranchyk this weekend. Which is fine. I could talk to you all day. It's fine. It's no problem. But before we talk about Evan Baranchyk, I mean, you're not a young man anymore. I think it's fair to say. You could still probably knock me out, so please don't hit me.
I'm not young anymore. But the thing is, I feel really good and I work really hard. I mean, I go to bed at 9 o'clock every night, and I get up at 6 o'clock, and I open the gym at 7, and I close the gym at 8. And I'm the one that usually opens and closes the gym 99% of the time. And because it's my gym, and it's so I do it correctly, and I work my ass off, because I can work all day, and I'm still physically fit enough to do that. And some people say I'm getting younger, but so some people look at me and say, "Do you ever get old?" and stuff like that. And I hope I don't get old ever. But the thing is, I still love what I do, and I still work my ass off, and I work with my fighters every day. I mean, every one of those 21 fighters that have a fight coming up, even if he's not the best guy out there and so forth, I'm still working on the mitts with him, and I'm trying to improve him and make him the best fighter he can be. So I try that I work very hard at what I do, and I want to stay young, and I think this is the best way to do it, by working. I think when people retire, it means it's time to die. I mean, when I retire, I hope I die. This honest truth.
I understand what you mean. I understand.
Yeah. Because most guys, when they do retire and they get bored and so forth, and they just will start watching TV and getting lazy, that's not gonna happen.
That's kind of what I was getting at, really. I mean, you just mentioned you had 21 fighters on the slate. You're not conventionally a young man anymore, although you're very, very active and you love what you do. You've had your health problems, but is it your just love? It's remarkable to me that you're still as busy as you are at your age. You still have the same. I mean, you're over here with Evan Baranchyk. You have the same kind of zest for the sport. You still love the sport as much as you did years and years ago.
I do. I mean, I'm 59 years old. I have Parkinson's. I haven't shaken in a long time, but then this morning I just was really tired, and I had 3 cups of coffee, and I go to the gym today, and I start shaking for the first time in over a year. And I was really embarrassed about that, because I'm really proud that I don't shake anymore. And I tell my doctors that I'm cured. And he says, "Well, you're not cured, but you're doing well, though." I says, "Yeah, but it's good not to shake anymore," and so forth. And like right now, I don't think I have any tremors right now, and so forth, because I'm comfortable. So the thing is, as long as I'm comfortable. But then, wrapping his hands in an awkward position today at the crowded workout place, it just got to me a little bit, and my tremors came back, and I said, "Wow, geez," I said, "I wonder what caused that." And then Marie reminded me about all the coffee I had in the morning, and possibly that, but just possibly just my mind itself, because it's a neurological disease, and it comes from the brain. So it's just. But the thing is, I don't let that get in the way, though, of my work, ever. The thing is, I still catch really well, and I can catch. I think I'm still one of the best catchers in the world. I mean, the thing is, I know combinations, and I know systems, and it's like working with my fighter for this fight, working on the combination that he needs to use to beat this fellow with a long reach, and he's very tall, and he's a very good counterpuncher, and so I've been working with him on the strategy of this fight, and it's working very, very well, and we have a very good game plan to win this fight. We really do.
Now you mentioned that, so Tebbutt is a new fighter to your gym.
Yes.
For this fight, this will be your first fight together, his first defensible world title. Just explain to me how it came to pass that he came to your gym. I know he split with his past trainer.
He's been calling me through Tony Holden for a couple fights now, and him and his trainer just weren't getting along. And I found that I find that like maybe hard to believe and so forth, because they have so much success together and so forth. But the thing is, he kept calling me. So finally I said yes. And I said, Tony, get him over here as soon as possible. I said, we don't have time. And because we have a tentative date. And everyone said that tentative date might not happen. I said, well, we got to act like it is happening, and we never doubted that the fight was going to happen, because that's how I am. Because all this maybe stuff and so forth, I says, we got to think that it's yes, and we got to be ready for the fight no matter what. So we trained our asses off for 8 weeks, and we've been together, working together, and he's really, really good at what he does. What I did was watch tapes. I watch tapes, and I find not his mistakes. I'm not concerned with mistakes. I find what his habits are, and habits he cannot change. So we will take advantage of the habits that he does have, and he makes a few moves that we can take advantage of, I feel. And again, don't get me wrong, it's not an easy fight whatsoever. It's a very, very tough fight for both guys. I mean, he has a long reach. He's very tall, and so forth. And then what do we have to do to take that away from him? Get a little bit closer, fight at a shorter distance, live on his chest, live right there. That's where I want him to live. That's where I want his head all night long, is on his fucking chest, living on there, just beating the body up and going over the top and making those angles, and not staying in front of him all night long. If you stay in the pocket too long with this guy, you're in trouble. You can't stay in the pocket too long. Get a couple combinations off, under and out to the side, turn him into another combination, and if he follows you, it'll be great. If he doesn't follow you, we'll just take advantage of that and get back on the jab and work it that way. So we know we're in a big fight, tough fight. Yes, this is world championship material. Both guys. I mean, this is what it takes to win these fights, is a very good game plan and a very determined fighter. And I have both. And he is a really, really good fighter. But I'll just tell you, since the fight started to get closer and closer, every day he's fucking better and better. I mean, he beat the heck out of a couple of the sparring partners. I felt bad for the sparring partners, because, I mean, they're pretty good fighters, and he beat the shit out of them, I swear. And then the other day, we were working in that gym right there, and all of a sudden, bang, he hits me with a hook, and damn it, I says, you know what? I says, that didn't feel like a glove. I says, did you just hit me with a fucking elbow? He said, yeah. I says, I taught you that. So I said, we don't try to be a dirty fighter or anything like that. But how a left hook is formed and how it is thrown, if a good hook misses, the elbow will land. And the thing is, I mean, we're not being like, we're not going in there to fight a dirty fight or anything like that. But these things do happen at times. And it just like hit me in the chin, and my legs buckled, and I said, wow, that was a really good shot. I said, you're throwing the hook correctly, just like I taught you. So I was happy about that. And we go in there. We went to the gym and had a public workout today. We just fooled around a little bit in there. And he showed the power in his right hand a little bit, just to make people notice it and so forth. But the thing is, I didn't want that to happen. But we didn't we didn't do anything that we're going to do in the fight possibly. And but that room right there, it's good enough. It's enough space to do mitts on. And we do have a 3-day weigh-in tomorrow to make. And we are going to work out tomorrow morning, and I'm not going to tell you what time because I don't want you there. But we are going to work out there tomorrow morning, yes.
You mentioned 8 weeks is not a long time to prepare someone for a world title fight. Does the fact that Baranchyk is a naturally aggressive fighter and you prefer an aggressive fighter, you prefer to coach that way, does that help proceedings when it's only 8 weeks?
It does help. I am an aggressive coach, yes. I mean, I do think that offense wins fights, and defense is, great. The thing is, I'm not against defense or anything like that. But the thing is, I like angles and I like footwork, and I even like when people throw a combination and step straight back in a straight line. Everyone says, don't step back in a straight line. Why not? I said, if I step back in a straight line and I set myself and he wants to follow me, I'm going to eat him up. The thing is, so, and that's one thing we've been working on with him and so forth, because he does follow sometimes in that straight line or the angles and so forth, and we hopefully are going to take advantage of those in the fight, because we've been working on that quite a bit. Just after the combination, don't stand right in front of him. Get out of the way somewhere, side to side or straight back. But we're going to be in the ready position and ready to fire when if he picks his foot up and comes our way, he will get hit again.
Now, one thing I did want to talk to you about is something that somebody told me, a source, if you will. There's rumours that there is potential for instant replays this Saturday, which, having known you on occasion and followed your career, I'm very interested to see what your thoughts are about that. That's boxing overall is quite an old-fashioned sport. We don't really like changing the sport. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was just informed in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago that they're going to start with instant replay also. And it seems like it's going in every sport in the world. From soccer to football to everything, and then instant replay. But the thing is, it just can't slow it down, though. The thing is, like, who's the one that's gonna be watching the instant replay? The commissioner? Does he know enough about boxing to really be there? To really make a call like that? Or it should be another referee who knows the game a little bit better, or maybe a boxing judge that knows what he's doing. Not every boxing judge in the world knows about boxing, but they should.
Yeah.
But, sometimes, like my mother was a boxing judge. And I used to tell her, like, why'd you vote for him? You like the color of his trunks? But I just used to give her a hard time and so forth. But she was actually a pretty good judge. She actually was. But the thing is, and my father was a boxer and so forth, and he wasn't a good judge. And the thing is, I'm not a good judge. I'm not the type of person that could call a fight and score it evenly. The thing is, because I'm too much into watching the fight. And I'm not really worried about who's winning and losing and so forth like this. As long as the game plan's going well, I'm happy with what we're doing. So if instant replay is used and so forth, I hope it's used in a good way. And the thing is, like, if it is used and so forth, then maybe they would have saw that elbow I get hit with down in the gym yesterday.
Is that what it's there to do? Is it there to obviously clashes of heads and whether or not cuts are punches, etc., or is it used to potentially score a round, like potential close rounds? I'm really confused because it's such a last minute thing. I think
a lot of it has to do with maybe like was it really a headbutt? Was it really an elbow? Was it really something maybe done illegally that caused the cut or the abrasion or I think that's what it would be better used as, of course. But the thing is, I don't think it should make a difference in like maybe who wins the fight though and so forth. But like sometimes when you throw a hook and the hook misses and the elbow lands and so forth, nobody ever notices it in the world because it's too quick. It goes and comes so fast. The camera could hardly catch it. To be honest with you, I mean it'd be very difficult for that. But it is illegal, and could that one point change the decision, or is it 1 point, or is it like a warning, or like where does it happen in the fight? Like, do we take a point away right away, or do we give them a warning first? I think that instant replay is taking away the referee's job. And I don't like it. I don't like instant replay at all, because boxing's way too fast of a sport to have that in it. And and the thing is, can they take the fight afterwards and then rejudge the whole fight and change the decision? No. People are going to stop watching the sport. They're going to ruin the game. Instant replay is not good for boxing, in my opinion.
Well, I think that's a very strong statement. We'll move from there. It's actually quite a nice segue. One of your ex-fighters, Amir Khan, was on the receiving end of a foul. I think it was a foul. Well, I think, okay.
Is a low blow really a foul? I mean, there's a rule. I mean, you get hit a low blow, you get 5 minutes to recover. And all they had to do in that fight is start the clock and give him 5 minutes. And 5 minutes had already passed when they're arguing with the cornerman of can he continue? Now, the cornerman didn't get hit with the low blow. How the fuck does he know if he can continue? He doesn't know how he feels. The fighter, at one point, you look at that fight, he put his mouthpiece back in. What does that mean? That means he wants to fight. There's no other reason in the world to put your mouthpiece back in. And he was going to fight, and because he thought he was going to get disqualified, because he was arguing over was it low and so forth. It was a low blow, yes. It kind of hit the guy, hit him in the leg more than in the groin, I would say. And those punches can be effective. I mean, and can hurt a fighter and so forth. But when the referee started asking his corner and so forth, all the referee had to do is his job. Start the clock 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes. If you can't continue, you lose the fight. That's the rule. I mean, it is illegal. It is a foul, but there's a cap on that foul, though. You do get 5 minutes to recover, and they feel that that's enough time to recover, and that's the rule. So the thing is, why not just start the clock and give them 5 minutes and let them rest? I mean, do you let them sit down? Possibly. Do you let them just stand up and walk it off? Possibly. I think the fighter should have the choice of what he does in that 5 minutes. He let him sit down, yes, or if he can walk around. If you think it's better to walk it off, I think you should know that going into the fight, because it does happen in boxing. I mean, low blows. But the thing is, like, you remember that it's below the belt. All right, so the belt line on the cup is not below the belt. I mean, it's a little bit lower than that. And if it's on the cup, this was kind of on the thigh a little bit and on the leg a little bit, and that can cramp up a little bit. Yes, I've seen that before and so forth, and it can hurt. Yes, but just give them the 5 minutes, which the rule is, and call the fight. I mean, I don't. There's too much controversy. Too many people being involved and so forth, and all the referee had to do is start the timer with a 5 minute rest, and it would have been clear. And Amir's he's a friend of mine. He comes in the gym. We speak. We went through a bad time when he fired me and so forth. But the thing is, we still speak. He comes to my gym. He asks me if he can work out. He's very respectful, and I let him work out in my gym all the time. And the thing is, and I don't train him or anything like that. I just let him do his thing. And I think maybe he has maybe one more fight in him. And there's that one fight he has here that everyone kind of wants to see. But now that opponent doesn't really want to give him the shot because he feels he already blew it. He already took another shot for less money, from what I'm told. Who's the fighter he was going to fight? Cal Brook. How good is Cal Brook?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. I don't get to see him that much, because he's not on our TV station a lot.
Now, see, I know well, I don't know Cal, but
I've only seen him fight once.
which fight did you see? The Porter fight?
Yes.
I think it's probably fair to say that's been his best performance of his career. I don't think he quite got the fights after that at welterweight that he potentially should have got. And then obviously went up to 160 pounds and fought Golovkin.
Yes.
Came back down to 147. I think people thought he kind of depleted himself to make the weight to fight Spence. Just back to the Amir Khan fight. I mean, you've mentioned you know Amir as well as anybody in a boxing sense. Amir is somebody throughout his career who has shown tremendous heart and tremendous bravery in times, particularly when he's been hurt in fights. The Danny Garcia fight, the manner of his loss to Terence Crawford had a lot of people saying that he quit in the fight. Do you agree with that?
I won't say that, because like when he put his mouthpiece back in, and he was brave enough to do that, and I thought the fight was going to continue, and I thought that the referee or somebody should have noticed that he put his mouthpiece in, and maybe he said, "Okay, let's go." I mean, I wonder what would have happened at that point. You know, would the argument went on, or would he just get in there and finish the fight? You know, obviously he doesn't have a great chin. I mean, that's been proven. But if you don't have a great chin, you have to learn how to protect it. I mean, there's been fighters in the past that haven't had great chins. I mean, the great Willie Pep, he was not a great chin, but he knew how to protect it, and his defense was very good. Amir Khan, he doesn't have a good chin, but he's never really learned how to protect it, because he has a bad habit of going out there and landing nice combinations, because he's a very good fighter, and he can land those combinations, and he's very good. He's very speed, and the thing is, and then when he hurts a guy, he goes in for the kill maybe a little bit too quick, and then he gets caught. And if he gets caught, then the fight usually goes the other way and so forth. But I do think he is a good fighter, and I hate to see him finish at this point, because I don't think he quit in that fight. I think it was there was a lot of confusion going on in there, and there was no like set point, and nobody really in charge of that. Because like at that point when he put his mouthpiece in, I says, "Look at this kid. He thinks he's going to get disqualified or something like that. So he actually wants to fight." So that was a good point for me, and I would love to see him get that one more fight and just see where it goes. I mean, the thing is, he's because he is a very capable fighter. He's a very good boxer, yes. But the thing is, he doesn't have a good chin. But the thing is, can he learn to protect it better? I think he can, because he's a very, very talented guy. I do think that.
What did you make of his performance overall against Terence Crawford? He was dropped in the first round. I think it's the first time that I think I've seen Amir get outboxed in a fight. Usually he gets clipped. He starts the fight very well, and a lot of his losses, other than the Prescott fight, which was a blowout, he's been winning the fight. He was never really winning the Crawford fight.
Yeah, because like every fight, it's like into the sixth round and so forth, and he's winning every round, and then all of a sudden he gets caught and so forth. In this fight, it happened a little bit earlier. Yeah, it did, and Crawford was like, I was kind of disappointed in Crawford a little bit, because he was so heavy to the canvas with his feet. He was like, because he can really move when he wants to, and he's a very capable fighter, and he's got very good legs. He can box, he can punch, he can move back, he can move forward. He's very good. But in that fight, you saw him really heavy on his feet and very set for his power shots, and he was going for the knockout early, and he caught him early, and he clipped him early, and that's where Amir is at this point of his life, I think, because a lot of guys are going to not mess around with the boxing ability and so forth, and let him outbox them for 6 rounds, and then try to get lucky and knock him out in the later rounds. He was going for an early knockout, and it worked for him, because I do think he's one of the best fighters in the world today, pound for pound. I really do. I mean, he can do it all. I've seen him in great performances. That wasn't one of his best performances, but it was, again, to catch him early like that, no one else has done.
Would you rate Terence? I mean, let's take your Manny hat off for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Would you say Terence Crawford is the best welterweight in the world currently?
Yes.
Better than Errol Spence?
Yes.
Why?
I think he can do more because I've seen him go forward and charge guys and go to them and blow them away, and then I've seen him move in a different direction and outbox guys, clearly outbox them and really do a nice job with it. I think he's a complete fighter. I think he has maybe a bad habit of going into the fight without a game plan and using the first 4 rounds to get a game plan, because he's very clever at that, yes, but the thing is, losing the first 4 rounds is too risky in my opinion. But he is a good fighter. Now, Spence and him are really close, okay? And that's a fight that we need to have. We need to see that fight. I mean, these promoters need to put those two guys together because we need to find out who the best fighter in the world is today, pound for pound. And I think it's one of those two. And I think that Spence is having a little bit of trouble with the weight. I think he's got to move up in weight class, because when I trained him when he was on the U.S. Olympic team, he was having trouble making 47 back then. And the thing is, now he's still having a little bit of trouble with it, and I think he's going to go to 54 or 60 at some point. And I think that Crawford's not going to move up in weight that quickly because he's not as big a person as Spence is. But for the pound for pound match, they may have to follow each other somewhere within there at 47, 54, or 60, wherever it may be. But that's a fight we need to see. That's a fight I want to see. I mean, I would pay money to go see that fight.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of Manny and Floyd. When Manny was with Top Rank, I mean, you've got Crawford with Top Rank and Spence with PBC. I mean, we spoke about it earlier on in this interview about fighters needing to fight each other to bring kind of boxing back into the spotlight.
But Manny and Floyd happened 4 years too late. Yeah. I mean, they weren't in their prime anymore. And Manny, he's 41 now, and he's not in his prime anymore. And I know he wants a rematch with this guy. And I think Floyd, who's 42 at this point, I think he's fading a little bit more than Manny lately, because when you saw him against the kickboxer, he was a little chubby and so forth, and he wasn't himself, I don't think. I think he might be all done. I mean, I think he might realize that too, and that's why he's not getting in the ring with Manny, because we had a 2-fight deal, and the second fight in that deal was actually Floyd Mayweather. I mean, Manny told me exactly what the deal was, and Manny's very honest with me, and so now we're fighting somebody else, and it's not an easy fight by any means, and because the 47-pound division, Manny's kind of small for that division. I'd like to see Manny. I would have rather seen him fight maybe the one who Garcia. I'd rather him and Garcia is a bigger, better fight because it's much more action-packed in my opinion. It's two small guys getting together. I mean, they can get together at 40 if they wanted to, because Manny walks around at 138. I mean, he's not a big guy, and it would be. I thought that would be a better fight, so that was my choice. But the thing is, I didn't win that one, so I'm not the shot caller in that camp anymore. But in training camp, though, we still work very well together.
You say about Manny wanting to come back and fight Floyd, or that was part of a 2-fight deal. When you've achieved everything that Manny has achieved in his career, why is he still fighting? And certainly, why would he hang in there to fight a retired fighter in Floyd? Floyd hasn't fought as a professional boxer since Berto, which was, 3 years ago? We're
both a little bit disappointed on how that fight went. I mean, Floyd was okay to shoot up his hands with painkiller in that fight. Not with steroids, not with illegal drugs, just a painkiller. And then the agreement was that Manny was equally going to be able to shoot his shoulder up with a painkiller and hopefully take that away, the pain away, so he could use it. And I went over and watched them do it, shoot up his hands, and then one of their guys came over to watch us get shot up, and all of a sudden the doctor comes in and says, we can't do this. And all of a sudden the rules changed. And if we shoot him up, we're disqualified, was what the deal was at that point. So Floyd had more juice than we did in that circumstance. And Manny told me in the 4th round, he said, Freddie, I can't throw that arm anymore. I just can't. I said, well, Manny, just do the best you can. I says, and that's all I could say. And so we're both very disappointed in that loss, and we thought that we could go into that fight, and we thought we could win that fight. Now, Manny's had surgery on the shoulder since then with Elotrash. Elotrash did a real nice job, and the rehab was really good, and Manny feels really good. His shoulder seems to be completely healed, and we would like to get that fight one more time, because that was the most embarrassing loss in our lives, because it's the one most people remember. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao, the one who lost to Floyd Mayweather, because that's how people are. They'll remember that loss more than any of the Marquez's fights, all those other great fights. Forget about that stuff. They're always going to bring up the Mayweather fight. So we would like to fight him one more time if he's capable of fighting. Yeah, but if so, it seems right now maybe he's not. So maybe Manny fights this fight, and then if the role for president comes up soon, which it will, I think it's within 6 to 8 months. I think maybe he will run for president and try to run his country and try to take care of the homeless and the poor people. And that's how Manny's that type of guy.
Get that if you need to, Freddie. If Manny is indeed to become president of the Philippines, when we heard this years and years ago, before he even became a senator, it was kind of like, right, okay, once I become a senator, then the boxing career is going to fade out, and then he's still fighting now. Well, if he becomes president, is that the end? Is that the end of his boxing career?
Yes, by far. Well, I have fooled around with him a little bit. I said, do you want to be the first president to fight for the world title? And the thing is, he wants to be president to take care of the people. And that's a good job. But the thing is, Manny's never been old enough to run for president until now. So I think within another month is the established age limit for him to run for president. And then in the Philippines, the presidential election gives you a 6-year term, and that's it. 1 term and 1 term only. And I kind of like the president that's here right now. I would like him and Manny to be president, like maybe together, or maybe president and vice president, because I think they really, really would work well together, because they're friendly with each other. And I met that president when I was in Davao for the first time in the Philippines, and he was the senator of Davao at that time, and he ran Davao. And Davao was the safest city in the Philippines at that time. He's a no-nonsense type of guy, and so forth. And I think I would like someone like that to be around Manny. But I don't think with the way things go, it can't be the guy can't be president again. So Manny, is he educated enough to run a country? I wonder sometimes. He has a 4th grade education, but he's learned a lot in the streets, and he's learned a lot about politics in his life and so forth. And I think he would try to do the best job he could, and he would try to help the poor people. But the problem with that, though, I'm afraid that maybe someone might step in, though, and maybe call it a day for him, because they want to take care of themselves. Most of the politicians in the Philippines are interested in taking care of themselves and not the poor people. Manny's the exact opposite. He wants to take care of the poor people, and the rich people can just live on and so forth, but they won't be as rich as they once were, I feel. So I worry about Manny being executed as a president, and I'm very leery about, like, should I vote for him or not? I can't vote in the Philippines, but I'm not a citizen. So, but the thing is, like, I will support him, yes. But the thing is it going to be good or bad? I mean, because this is a place where people do get shot for going against other presidents. I mean, it's iffy. I mean, do I want him to? I don't want Manny to get killed, no. But do I want him to be president? And do I think he can do a good job at it? I do. I think he'll do the best job he can, and try his best to be the best president ever. But can he be? I'm not sure. Fourth grade education, running the country, that might be too big, I mean, I can't run the country, and I graduated high school, but I mean, fucking that's not good enough to be president. I don't think, So, but I wish him the best though in that if he does run president, and I hope he wins, and I hope he does well, and I hope he's happy with his life.
Last time I spoke to you in LA was before Manny fought Adrian Broner. Now, obviously, dominated that fight against Adrian Broner. It was the first fight back that you had after leaving the camp for the Lucas Matisse fight. Obviously, the performance was great. He won the fight very, very clearly. How was it working with the team again after that? Working with Boo Boy, who was Boo Boy head trainer?
No, I still call the shots in the gym, and we worked out very well. And then Manny asked me before the fight, Freddie, he says, I want Boo Boy to have.
Okay.
I want Boo Boy to have maybe a little bit more of a good trainer's. He wants to have more of a reputation of being a good trainer. So he said, "Can Boo Boy work the middle, and you work me from the side? You do all the talking and so forth, but just let Boo Boy be in the middle, so he can look like he's the head trainer." And Boo Boy I've known for a long, long time and so forth, and I've always tried to help Boo Boy along the way and so forth. So I said, "Yeah, no problem at all." I said, "I'll just speak from the side into his ear, and I'll get more done there than I will in front of him, because if I get in front of him and talk to him, Boo Boy's yelling over me anyway." So the thing is, that's the way it went and so on. So we worked it out, and it worked well, and he did very well in the fight, I felt, and Boo Boy did okay, and I hope that Boo Boy gets known as a little bit better man as a trainer and so forth. But this fight coming up, it's not going to happen, because there's too much controversy of like who gets credit for the win and so forth. And so I told Manny this time, I said, I'm going to work the middle, and I'm the lead guy, and I'm the lead trainer, and I said, we're going to train in the Philippines for a little while for this fight, but then we're coming to America for 8 weeks and training in my gym in Los Angeles, and we have a tough fight ahead of us with a capable guy who looked good in some fights, and he hasn't looked good in his last couple fights, though. But I expect him to bring his A game to the Pacquiao fight.
Yes, that's Keith Thurman. How difficult a fight is that for Manny at this stage of his career?
It can be a very difficult fight. Thurman can fight really well when he wants to. He didn't look that great in his last fight, I know, yes, but the thing is, in the couple of fights before that, though, he did look really good, and he is a good puncher, and he's a big, strong 47-pounder, and it's something we can't take lightly at all. I mean, this is a real serious fight.
Is Manny now at the stage of his career where one more loss would be it?
I feel yes, that one more loss would be it, and I would definitely be one that would urge him to retire if he does lose one more time. But we do plan on winning that fight, though, and I've been watching a lot of tape on his opponent, and I've been taking a close look at where the couple of fights that he's looked bad in his last 2 fights, and he hasn't looked that great and so forth. And I've taken into consideration when he has looked really good in the fights and what he does best. So it's time to come up with a really good game plan for this fight. And Manny's still very capable of fighting. He's very hungry. His work ethic is really good. His work ethic is as good now as it maybe ever was. He works his ass off every day, and like he is like the best guy in the world to have in your gym as a role model. Because like every fighter to me in the world should fucking work this hard, because he really puts the hours in. He does. He doesn't fuck around. He trains his ass off, and he goes into the ring with his best A game going forward and going on his side.
Okay, well, Freddie, I've had almost enough of your time. Just before we go, I'd love to hear some old Freddie Roach tales. Now, you told me a couple in LA. We spoke about James Toney, my favourite fighter, somebody who I know has given you a lot to talk about over the years. Is there anything that you'd like to share? Something that potentially we didn't already know over the years? I know you've worked with so many different fighters, so I'm not going to try and pinpoint one of them. Do you have any Freddie stories?
Just not. Let me think. I've had a couple good stories lately, and I tell a lot of stories.
You do tell a lot of stories.
Because it's a lot of fun. I mean, the thing is, like, I had this young kid come in the gym about 2 months ago. I think I told you about him. He went in the gym and he punched 2 of my fighters. Yeah, and he got knocked out. And then, you know what though? The kid came back with his fucking. I told him, I said, you come back with your little card there that says you're not an alcoholic anymore. He quit drinking, and he got a real job. So the kid is doing better. So, but the thing is, Ray Beltran is back on my stable. He's got a big fight coming up, and if he wins that fight, he's got a bigger fight, a bigger title fight coming up. And I'm working on coming up with a really good game plan for Beltran, because he left quite a while ago, and he's been going back and forth at different sides here and there. So he finally asked me if I'd try to help him out for his next 2 fights, and that's going to be interesting. And the 4 guys he fired aren't too happy, but they all work for me anyway. So like they'll have some input in the camps and so forth. But stories, I got nothing good right now. Shit, I can't believe it.
Well, it is late, so I'll tell you what, how about this? We'll save a story for later on this week. We're here till Sunday. Before you go, so you've got Baranchyk in the World Boxing Super Series. Now, the World Boxing Super Series is pitting the best against the best.
Yes.
If you could make any World Boxing Super Series across the time that you've been involved in the sport, what weight class would you pick? And who would you put in it? And they can be from any era.
That would be really, really interesting. I mean, because, like, I tell you what, the Superfly tournament was really good, okay? Because I like the Superflies, because I like the little guys, and I think they're good fighters. And that Superfly tournament was great, at that point. And it's not as exciting the second time around, though, because one of the best guys got beat. And his name escapes me, Chocolatita. He was the key factor in that. But then he gets beat by the Trinidad. And now the kid from Trinidad gets beat by the Mexican last week. Did you see that where he lost? So but that series was really, really good. I really enjoyed watching that. But how about a Super Series at 47? I think that might be an interesting division right now. I mean, we got a lot of talent in there. I'm going to try to put that together for you, okay?
What 8 names, Freddie?
Eight top 10 guys. Pacquiao's in there, Mayweather's in there, Spence is in there, Crawford's in there, your guy from here, Kel Brooks in there. Kel, I'm sorry I forget your name all the time, but you're always on my mind because you are a good fighter, and I do like Kel. I mean, as a fighter, but I've only get to see a little bit of him on American TV. But the thing is, I want to see more of him on American TV, and I hope this the zone thing works because it looks like it's good for boxing. The money's good, yes, but the thing is, like, did Crawford and who did Crawford fight recently? Huh?
Crawford fought Khan.
No.
Before that?
After. Who just fought?
Crawford fought Khan recently.
Who just fought and it wasn't as big a fight? It wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Well, what, at 47?
Yeah. Wasn't it? Or was it 54?
54, Jarrett Hurd fought Julian Williams last week.
Oh, and he got knocked out.
No, he beat him, he dropped him. He didn't knock him out, he beat him unanimous decision.
Oh, okay. That was a good fight. There was someone, no. Who Triple G fight? No, it wasn't Triple G.
Canelo Jacobs.
Canelo Jacobs, there you go, okay. Now, did these guys really put their hearts into the fight, or they just take the money and run? I mean, to me, that was a potentially great fight, but it didn't work out that way. It wasn't a great fight. It was one of the most boring fucking fights I've ever seen in my life. I mean, what, am I lying?
No,
I mean, did they really try? Were they getting paid too much fucking money? I think maybe yes. I'm being honest. I just like these guys. They didn't give their best effort, in my opinion. Neither one of them. I was very disappointed in that fight. I'm sorry for talking bad about fighters, and I tried not to, but you both sucked that night.
We'll just pick it back up there. Mr. Roach had a couple of boxing fans come over and say that must be nice to be Freddie Roach sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Have people come over.
I mean, I'm walking down the street, right? When I went out the other night before you guys, when you were doing the last interview,
Yeah.
and I had two guys come up to me and just say, "Is that really you?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "What are you doing here?" Yeah. I said, "You don't know about the fucking fight? I think this fight needs more publicity. I mean, why don't they put some fucking posters up somewhere? I mean, it seems like not everybody knows about this fight because they say, what the fuck are you doing here? I said, there's a big fight coming up. Don't you know that? And I said, they need to advertise this fucking fight because, like, this is a good fight. It really is. It really, no, it's a good fight. Yeah, who's that guy, Benny Lynch?
It is a good fight. And before we go, it'd be great if you could give me your final prediction on the fight. Well, it won't be your final prediction because we've still got a few days left. But how is that fight going to go on Saturday?
Because it's a great fight, and I think it's going to be a really good fight. We're looking forward to a knockout because that's the only way we're going to win, I feel. I mean, the thing is, we need a knockout to win this fight. I've urged my fighter to be prepared to win by knockout and to do whatever possibly he can to do it. And we're working our asses off on it. We do have a good game plan. You know, being the taller fighter is not always the best thing in the world to do. There is ways around that, and we have worked on that over and over and over again. Will it work in the ring? I hope so. But the thing is, you know, we have to see how everything goes. You know, can he keep us on the end of his jab? Can we get close to him and smother him? Can I get my game plan to work effectively? Because I've only had 8 weeks to teach this guy this, and he's never done this before. He's never lived on a guy's chest before. He doesn't really know what that is until 8 weeks ago. And, you know, so we've been working on it every day, fucking, I says, live close. Don't give him the distance he needs. He needs room to punch. You don't. You're a short fighter on the inside. Work that body back to the head, work the angles. Don't stand in front, don't stay in the pocket too long. We've got everything that we need to do down. But the thing is, can he absorb all that in a short time, in 8 weeks? It's difficult. It really is difficult, and I'm hoping he can. And if he can, I think we'll have a good night. If he can't, it might be a long night. Because this guy is a very good boxer. He has that height and he has that reach advantage, and he's legit. I mean, these guys are 2 world champions going at it. I think these are the 2 best guys left out of the 3, by far. I think the winner of this goes on to beat the other guy in wherever the fuck he is in Bowling. New Orleans. Yeah. He's in Wild Card West, which is no longer a theory. I took that name away. Yeah, it's called Churchill Boxing now.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So that's where he trains now.
Okay, well, Freddie, I could sit here for hours and talk to you, but you have to go to bed.
Yes, I do.
So thanks very much, as always, for speaking to Boxing Social. It's always a real pleasure to catch up with you, and I do appreciate your time. That's okay. I'm sure you'll have plenty of good stories for me throughout the week, and I won't let you off without telling me one. Freddie Roach, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Freddie.